Welcome back, everyone, to the final episode of this long season from men's to women's and then men's again with the senior nationals here until August. So we're very excited to bring you this final episode. We're going to be covering what's going on this summer for Team USA. We'll also be covering, of course, senior nationals and our thoughts going forward as we head into another season starting in August. Be sure to catch up on all the action here on Water Polo Wednesday. You can always go back and review the Water Polo Wednesday YouTube and Spotify. We've loved doing this, so we'd like to lead with gratitude. Thank you to everybody who's joined us this season. It's been a tremendous season, and without further ado, let's get into the final episode of this season of Water Polo Wednesday.
Welcome back to Water Polo Wednesday with Wes and Clay. You're Wes.
You're Clay.
And this is, I guess, our season 2 closing episode. We're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about Junior Worlds. We're going to wrap up Senior Nationals and next steps from there. So if you're watching this on Spotify, make sure to follow on YouTube, like and subscribe, hit the bell notification, all the fun stuff. Give us a comment, send us an email at waterpolowednesday@gmail.com. So Wesley, we have some really fun news heading into the World Championship discussion, Junior Worlds, and that you have a special role at Junior Worlds.
Yeah. Huge honor. Very I'm still a little in shock, but I've been asked to do the Junior Worlds play-by-play commentating. So we'll have, for the first time, I think, a native English speaker doing it, which is exciting.
Congratulations!
Yes, thank you. I'm pumped. Tickets been bought. I've got my flights. It's a really cool thing. I never made the Junior Worlds team. I was like one of the last cuts, and that was like a very hard thing. So at least now I get to go.
You did it.
I did it. I made it in a different capacity, but I'm really excited about it. I've got a great mentor who's with NBC who's helped me quite a bit, and just this opportunity to continue to grow the sport. And when I talked to them, they were really excited about having a native English speaker and somebody who knows the players. And so I think, watching as much National League, and there's a lot of players here in the US that are going to be there. So it'll be good to see them. If you're going to Junior Worlds, please say hi. It's in Zagreb, Croatia. I don't know anybody there and would love to see everybody. But really excited about this. We've got a great team. I believe the Team USA is probably picked to win the gold medal. I know Hungary's won it the last couple of times, but their team's going to be a little different. They've moved some players up to their senior national team. So Marcel Seichi, from what the rumors tell me, is that he'll be playing with the Hungarian senior national team instead of the junior team. So Hungary will still be good, but I think the way that the U.S. is kind of lining things up, they're obviously a very talented team, and I'm really excited to be there. I'm excited to be there. It's a really big honor. Hopefully we do a good job, and we can do some more. So appreciate you calling that out, Clay. It's going to be a great tournament. Rosters get announced June 6th, or that's when they're due with World Aquatics. The tournament itself is June 14th to the 21st, so Saturday to Saturday, again, in Zagreb, Croatia.
Amazing. Very fun. Yeah. We'll be tuning in. I believe these games will be live streamed on World Aquatics website.
Yeah,
okay,
they will. And as you talked about, it's a cool opportunity here, but also this is our last episode of the kind of season till August. We're going to be taking a little bit of a break.
And I think that your activity, not to blow you up a little bit, but there's always a reason to praise Wesley for his efforts here in tenacity. This podcast was certainly your idea. I've talked to a number of people about, someone has ideated on doing some kind of water polo commentary, whether it was I know Jake Cavano has some water polo content up there on Instagram. Myself and Mark Vonderwhite have talked about just uploading any game film and just talking through the strategy, and just so that's living in the ether, because we can watch a lot of games, but there's not a lot of commentary breaking things down. Sure. And this was a very unique experience, Water Polo Wednesday, breaking down the collegiate season, breaking down all of the highest level of competition in the U.S. So it's been a really great opportunity for us, and a lot of people have expressed their just gratitude that people are just talking about the sport, and it's just another another platform to help grow the sport, keep those who are interested plugged in, because it's hard to catch all the activity and watch all of the games. So they come here to just get an update on what's going on here. And
Yeah.
it's really cool to get that feedback. But then transitioning outside of the podcasting world, where you're using your voice, into the commentating world, live on
Yeah.
deck, and now this turning into an international stage opportunity. It's just really cool to see, and I'm really excited to see where this continues to go, because I have a hunch that you enjoy this a little bit, Wes,
It's
especially
something.
the commentary side. But
It
just talking about water polo, I know you enjoy. So if you have more
Yeah.
opportunities to talk about it, it makes sense.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Clay. I'll say this: I could never give more back to water polo than what water polo has given me.
Wow.
Be it the friendships, the community. I met my wife through water polo, who's the single greatest human I think I've ever. I mean, she continues to impress.
You hear that,
Um,
Hathaway? See,
yeah, so
see,
make sure she
you
watches.
more praise than I did. Okay.
But yeah, and you and the group. I think I've been very blessed and very fortunate. And even though I think all of us at some point have to like stop playing, which has been it was a very hard thing for me. This is a way for me to continue to give back to the sport that's given me so much. And the opportunity to do this truly is special. So I appreciate the gratitude very much. It's very kind of you and the community. I had a lot of great conversations throughout the year, throughout the season, through National League, through the people reaching out during senior nationals, asking me about the games and whatever else. It's been really, truly wonderful. Part of my love for the sport is the community, and it's been wonderful to get the feedback we've gotten, good or bad, about things we can do better, right? Better, never best, as we always say. And so I appreciate that, Clay. I'm really, last men's season, when we started this in the fall, it was kind of like, let's see where this goes. I am pumped for fall. Like it's June, it's May, it's not even June, it's May, and I am like really excited because we have got some great things on tap. So I'll preview a little bit of that before we jump to senior nationals. I'll preview a little bit of what's upcoming. So not only are there junior worlds in June, there was going to be men's world championships in July in Singapore. In August, we are going to be doing like roster releases. So recruiting breakdown. So we're going to have some coaches on. They're going to talk about their recruiting class. By the way, guys, we're one of the only sports in the world that doesn't do this right now.
Yep.
Right? So this is really exciting. So we've got coaches that are going to come on, potentially some recruits. We're going to have some highlights of who their players are, their incoming classes. We're going to give you a preseason breakdown of where every team is going into the season. There's going to be some surprises. And as we know, the transfer portal is still open. So things are still up in the air. We were thinking about doing this now, but there's still guys in the transfer portal. We don't know where they're going to land. That's going to shift the landscape and the power in certain divisions. Mind you, CBU just left and went to the Big West. There's a lot to talk about. We got a lot. I've got tons of pages already written on what we're going to talk about. I'm going to have to consolidate it down, Clay, because there's just not enough time. But it is a really exciting time for water polo as we continue to try and grow the sport. And that is kind of the genesis of everything that we do, be it with LA, be it with the podcast, be it with the broadcasting, is let's grow the sport. And as Dennis Vargas said, like, I believe it's America's obligation to save our sport, because it's not on a very upward trend at the moment, but we're doing everything we can to buoy it and keep it going forward. So there's a lot of really exciting stuff. Don't forget about us. We'll certainly be back in August to talk about a lot of this stuff and break down world championships and the upcoming NC2A season.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, had no idea what we were doing or what we were getting ourselves into or how long we would do it for. And here we are at the tail end of the season 2. Very exciting stuff, and very exciting stuff yet to come. So last segment here, we had essentially the tail end of the men's season, like post-collegiate men's season here of the spring. So we had National League going on for a few months, and now we totally wrapped it up with senior nationals that happened last weekend. There's really nothing on the calendar until later on in the fall, where there'll be like Premier League, which is kind of a, just a Sunday casual league. And then there's Bob Neely in December.
That's the big one.
Yeah. Bob Neely will probably be like the biggest tournament. Yes, there's the Founders Cup, I think, before that in Las Vegas. But Bob Neely's certainly been growing quite a bit. I think they were passing 50 teams this last season. So it's really
Yeah.
amazing to see how that continues to
Yeah.
grow. If you want more information on Bob Neely Memorial Cup,
Yeah.
it's one of the fastest growing. I think it is the largest club hosted men's and women's tournament in the
Well, and all
country,
the money goes to charity,
and all the
right? Like
money,
that's
yeah,
the biggest
goes
thing
to
for
promote
me
water
is,
polo. Yeah,
yeah, it's promote water polo. It goes to lymphoma cancer research, which is what took Bob from us. Um, it's very near and dear to our heart. We'll definitely be talking about that more in the fall. But that is kind of the big next men's tournament,
yeah,
if you
yeah.
will.
So between last weekend and then, big gap.
Yeah.
But talking about senior nationals, we had a
Yeah.
lot of the standout teams that we saw in National League, both colleges and the men's teams.
Yeah.
Some teams missing, some collegiate teams missing, but
Yeah.
you have some new players entering the fold who were unavailable to play. Nyack specifically had
Yep.
Alex Bowen in the picture, Hannes
Hannes.
Daube, really talented athletes that are showing up. It's tough to say which is a higher level of competition, National League Championship or senior nationals.
Yeah.
There's a couple factors at play there because I think there
Sure.
was a lot of buildup to this National League Championship that we haven't really
Yeah.
seen before. That maybe teams are taking a little bit of an exhale after National League Championships, understandably. But Wes, yeah, curious on your opening thoughts here.
I think it's a little odd, the structure,
Yeah,
because after you win National League, after you finish National League Championship, excuse me, there's kind of, like you said, an exhale. And for the men, meaning not in college, so the non-collegiate guys,
Nyack Pro
they,
Club,
they
LA.
yeah, they kind of stopped training for a couple of weeks, to be candid with you. We kind of get back to our lives a little bit. Um, our Monday nights aren't dominated by masters. Our Tuesday mornings aren't dominated by 4,000 yard swim sets and weights. And so guys kind of take a break. So there's a little bit of shift in who's available and who has, the stamina to play. This is only because there's such a large gap. If they were continuous play every weekend and we built to one big championship, which makes a little more sense, I think, to me personally, I think you'd see more continuity. And I think you'd see teams continue to get better into the month of May, which would be, I think, ultimately better. But what it ends up doing is you kind of have a lot of roster turnover and changes. And so where, Mission and Trojan and CBU, or I guess Riverside, Lions, all these teams were playing in National League. They didn't play in senior nationals. So the players kind of get dispersed to different teams. And so like LA Athletic Club had a lot of UCLA guys and had a UCI and Trojan and representatives from really all over, frankly, that otherwise weren't like available necessarily through National League.
Right.
So you see a lot of it's a little wonky. It's almost like a club championship, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a different. It's like you see a lot of the same teams, but
Yeah.
what's a team without its players? And like
Yeah.
the players can switch around for some of these clubs. I mean, it's a little bit more consistent for like a no club or a Nike perhaps.
Yeah.
But they might like add a couple of guys. But LA is kind of a mix of these collegiate and post collegiate players, and so you had Cal not entering National League, and so you had some Cal athletes on that LA team, and
Yeah.
then Cal enters a team, Berkeley, mixed with I think UC Davis and some others in senior nationals, and so we don't have the Cal guys for
Right.
that game. So I agree with you. I think it makes more sense for it simply to be one continuous league throughout
Yeah.
this time. If there was just like an extension of the round robin play or whatever that is, or maybe like the playing games are in like those weekends and you have the actual championship later on.
Yeah.
Also from like a marketing standpoint, that Instagram account for National League was created for that. There was a lot of effort put into posting there, and some
Right.
people were collaborating with their posts with that account, building hype, building an audience. So there's like a central point to talk about that league. But then Senior Nationals is not National League, so like those are separate entities. So there's really nothing to market,
Yeah,
and
there's
really
no
there's
promotion.
like there's zero. I mean, maybe there was something, but in effect, there was no marketing for
Right.
this
Which is
tournament.
why there weren't from what I could tell, because I wasn't there, there wasn't anybody in the stands. Like it
Well,
wasn't
Fisher
popular.
Cup, to my recollection, has usually was a
Yeah,
pretty
big.
big event that a lot of people and fans and youth kids would show up to because they knew that this was the premier tournament in the country of the whole year. And yeah, the stands weren't empty, but I mean, I don't even know if they were half full. And
Yeah,
I think it was mostly parents of the junior team that were
yeah,
there,
yeah,
frankly, which is really sad to see. It's not that we're only doing it for fan presence, but it doesn't give you the sense that we're growing the sport if no one's there to watch. It's like
yeah,
what's the growth here?
yeah, for sure. So I mean, I mean, interesting tournament. We did see Touring Stanley and William Whitstone playing for Long Beach.
Hmm.
Apparently, they made the transfer from Riverside CBU over to Long Beach. Really bolsters that squad. We saw Corbin Stanley and Dom Brown playing for the junior team. They have been playing in Spain for the last 4 months, so they weren't available in National League. Um, Obviously, since Mission slash UCLA was not in the tournament, Ryder, Dodd, and that that freshman class were all with the junior team. I think you had Bodie Brinkema, who was very good, Ben Lathy, who is outstanding, and then Pete Castillo, all part of that freshman class that were with the junior team, and so they were a very formidable squad
Yeah.
this run around. So different junior team than even we saw at National League Finals.
Yeah, yeah. Very strong junior team.
Yeah,
I
they're very
really
good.
like
They're a very good team.
the best. The best was that junior team uh, better or worse than the junior team that we saw throughout National League?
Oh, far better. I think when you add Corbin Stanley and Don Brown, you get immense depth at your center position. And I'll call out a couple guys. Ryder Dodd is a freak. The dude has an engine. Um, I was chatting with Ryder's dad throughout the finals, and it was he's just like he could he knows his son. He's like Ryder's pissed. Like he could tell Ryder was like ready to go, and it was awesome. I mean, Ryder's an absolutely outstanding player. Um, I still believe Coker is the best coach in the country, and there I think that sentiment is shared with by most people. A very intense guy, but also very, very smart. Very, very smart. I will also call out Connor Ohl, who is the youngest member of that junior team this weekend. He is my understanding is he is going to Junior Worlds. He just announced he's going to Stanford. Congratulations. That guy's the truth. Like he plays with a lot of energy, and I don't mean like reckless abandonment. I mean like he's got a motor. And sometimes you see this guys that just kind of keep going and going and going. He contributes at his age. He's going into his senior year of high school. This is very unique. And so he's the same class as like Oliver Marson and Clay Carrington and Aiden Romaine, right? So guys that we're very familiar with. Tyler Anderson's another one. Connor is outstanding. That class is very good, but Connor is he's something else. I don't know if he's the elite shooter that we see from like a Ryder,
Well,
um, which is that in itself is kind of insane how good Ryder is, but like Connor has all the makings of being a outstanding water polo player and a multi-time Olympian if he keeps with it, right? If he can keep with it, which we know is hard, but he is. I was so impressed with his play, like all weekend, not just from what I saw in the finals, but like all weekend. He's really, really come along. The growth I've seen from him, if I were to call out one player most improved, not that he started out bad at the start of National League, he was good at the start of National League. I thought he was outstanding this past weekend. He does a
yeah,
lot of things really, really well. And I think it's because he's got a lot of energy. Not only is he tall and fast, like he's extremely fast, but like he's learning very quickly in this sense. And so his mental speed is frankly quite a bit quicker than most at that age. And so he's adapting very, very quickly to the quicker game. And dude, just can't say enough good things. Like
yeah.
really impressed with his play. I don't know him personally, but like his play is really, really outstanding. And so that's a huge pickup for Stanford. I think he's got to be a top 3 guy in the country and his top 4 guy in the country in his class. Which is a loaded class. It's a very, very good class. I don't know where he'll end up, but he has the potential to be multi-time Olympian, I believe, right? I wouldn't be shocked if we see him in 2028 in LA. That wouldn't
Yep.
surprise me at all.
Yep. Amazing.
Yeah.
So we had a tournament format of 4 games. Most teams had 1 game Friday, 2 games Saturday, with the championships
Yeah.
being
Sunday.
on Sunday.
Yeah.
And we had because Mission UCLA was not playing in this tournament, we have them out. And so the way that these tournaments are tied, where National League and Senior Nationals is tied, is that National League does inform the seeding of Senior Nationals. So Olympic Club, who lost to the Mission in the finals of National League, were the #1 seed, followed by LAC, New York Athletic Club, and then the junior team. And as we progress through some games, we find ourselves in the semifinals of, as the seeding would predict, Olympic Club versus the 4 seed junior team,
Yep.
and the 2 seed LAC versus New York Athletic Club.
Yeah. So we want to break those down, is what I assume we're going.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll start with the junior team in Olympic Club. As you mentioned, Mission wasn't playing, so Olympic Club had a couple of UCLA guys and picked up a couple Stanford guys because Stanford didn't play in this one either. Really, neither did Cal or SC. So none of the big MPSF teams played. So those guys were dispersed. Olympic Club.
I think Cal played with on like a few guys played like on the combo like Berkeley,
team. Which was UOP
but it was
and Golden
Cal,
West
sure.
and a couple of high school. It was
you saw
Berkeley.
like Conferada, you saw Merkovich and some other guys.
Yeah. So, look, I think Olympic Club, that game was very close in that first half. The junior team kind of pulled away in the second half. I didn't get a chance to watch that game because it was at the same time as the LA New York game, which I was tuned into.
It's just a bummer, I think. Have the semifinal games happening at the same time in two different pools is a bit of a shame. You want people to be able to watch both of them.
I understand that when the semifinals and finals are on the same day, because then you want equal rest. Right, like if I'm playing semifinals,
if you're playing on the same day and the semifinals at the same time, that totally
makes perfect sense to me.
How is she gonna go?
But if they're on separate days, so like the semifinals were Saturday night, which is fine, or Saturday afternoon. I think it was like 3:50, 4 o'clock, right? That's fine. They don't need to be at the same time, like because everybody's going to get pretty equal rest. If it's an hour and a half difference over a 12-hour, 14, 16-hour period, it's not the same thing. So like to me, I don't want to be overly critical or nitpicky, but better, never best. There's always things we can be doing better. I do believe that we should have those games back to back at the main pool when it's Saturday night featured and Sunday is the finals. Sure. And then if you need to, you move the Sunday game a little bit later than 11:30 a.m. So the junior team ends up beating Olympic Club. And look, that Olympic Club team, as we kind of mentioned, like they didn't look like they've been training like they had for National League finals. They're a good team. Hooper wasn't there. They did pick up Ben Larson, who was a pretty good contributor for them. Kind of went 2-2, did some defending, did some center work, and I think that they're pretty good. They're a good team, but they didn't look the same as they did at National League finals, right? The junior team kind of took it to them there in the second quarter. I think it was like 8-3 at halftime. And it just kind of got away from them a little bit. Olympic Club did win the second half 10-8, but at that point it was a little bit too far gone. And so Olympic junior team ends up going on to win there 16-13. So good win for the junior team. I think we with who the junior team had, I think we kind of saw that in the layoff there of a month for that Olympic Club squad. It is hard. I don't think people realize, for those who are working, for the men's players who are working, it is
like
not
jobs.
Yeah, like jobs. It's not trivial for them to go put in 10 hours a week. Mind you, these junior team guys, most of them are training 20 hours a week, maybe more. When I was playing, I always put in more time. I was always in the gym or getting an extra 500 yards or, an extra 20 shots in, whatever it is. Like, these guys are very motivated guys. So this junior team, that's what their focus is right now, is to play.
And they're proving themselves to make this Junior Worlds team at the same time.
Right. Again, I think they're the favorite to win the gold medal this year. I'd be disappointed, frankly, if they didn't, with the talent they have. I know Ryder's playing on the team. I think that would be disappointing. So we'll see. The other side of it, We had New York taking on Los Angeles Athletic Club. That game was look. It LA won the first matchup in the semifinals. I'm sorry, the third place game in National League Finals. Different players. These were different teams. So LA Athletic Club had Dennis Varga this time. Didn't have him last time because he was injured. They had Sergi Cabanas, who's the starting center defender for the Spanish Olympic team. And then had a bunch of mission guys. It was a big turnover. There was a huge turnover in roster. So the question becomes, how well do they play together? Well, the team played very, very well together. It was 9-4 at half. They had a 5-goal lead over New York that consisted of Alex Bowen coming off his season with 7A, consisted of Hannes Daube, and it consisted of they added Farmer in the center, as well as Eli Lathy, who's a very good center from UCLA, and Milo Joseph, the former Channel Cat center. And then they added, I think his name's Zhao. I'm probably not saying that correctly, so I apologize. But Zhao Pedro, who's the Brazilian Olympic, or I shouldn't say Olympic team, national team goalie. Brazil is trying to make the Olympics. And we had a lot of Brazilians.
He's currently playing at Novi Beograd, I believe, and is transferring to Vasas.
Is he going to Vasas? I thought he was going to Partizan. He's going to Vasas?
I heard Vasas.
Okay. Oh, Vasas. I love Vasas. We all love the Comiati. So good for them. But look, a lot of Brazilian national team members. You had Rafa Real, I should say. Tico Carcelade. You had Zhao.
Well, Tico was on LA.
Yeah. Zhao, Pedro, and Rafa were on Nyack. Dude, it's great. It's high level of competition, high level of play. Two of the best men's teams in the country going at it. It's different. It's different when LA plays Nyack than when LA or Nyack plays a Mission or a junior team. It's just different because it's a lot more of the men's game. Dennis Varga is almost 40 years old, right? Sergi Cabanas is 29. It's different. It's just a different game altogether. It's hard to articulate. I'm not doing a very good job, but look, that was an elite level of water polo. Dennis Varga had 5 goals. Rafa Real had 3. It was a tough game. I think LA played very well. It's not to take anything away from Nyack. They have Alex Bowen, Hannes Daube, Rafa Real, was Zhao Pedro in the goal.
With a center presence that they didn't have at the National League third place game, I think.
They had 4 key pieces that they did not have.
Right.
And so that was a good team. Schulte put together a very good team. And Nyack had 2 squads there. Good for Nyack. It's great to see that they're
A to B team. Yeah, LA had 2 teams last season, only had 1 this season. Yeah. So it's great that Nyack is able to field these 2 teams. And you see some Nyack regulars of the past now playing on the B team, still getting in there, which is really great to see. But I think that was the big question. You have a lot of new adds to a Nyack team, and when someone puts on a Nyack cap, they tend to play very well. Yeah. And you have a lot of turnover and new people, a new team of LA without the history of the National League games or other trainings that were scheduled ahead of time. So can they become a team? And it was really great to see that LA squad come together as a team, take the win for Nyack, and then head into the finals for against the junior team.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the leadership of that LA team from those guys.
Definitely.
I think there were a couple holdovers from National League, right? You had Andras, you had Danish, you had Dash.
Yeah, Dash finding himself as a veteran member of this squad now. Yeah.
The old man at 23. You had Mitch Kitely, who was very good. LA also added Brendan Japyash, which I thought was a pretty big pickup for them.
That's the goalie.
Who's the goalie? Logan Estes was also on that squad. I'm trying to
Renato
think of
Hertzer.
Hertzer. But I'm trying to think who else was a carryover. Dash Bense. Shamu Birosh, who's, dude, I freaking love watching that guy play. He does the dirty work. Yeah. He does the things that nobody wants to do, right? He does the hard jobs of the interior and the movement, whatever else. So it was fun to watch those guys kind of all come together. Obviously, Chase Dodd is a very known commodity. He was outstanding. Tico Carcelade. I love watching Wade Sherlock play. I don't know what it is about that guy. Every time he gets the ball, I'm like, I'm like nervous. Is he going to
He's got
shoot?
great vision. He's a
My
playmaker.
goodness, great passer.
Being a lefty
Marcel
down there really helps.
really does. Marcel Seichi was outstanding. Again, he's been selected for what the rumor is the senior national team for Hungary for World Championships. Not surprising. I mean, his father is three-time gold medalist for Hungary, three-time gold medalist for Hungary as a goalie, Zoltan. And I think it was just a great group of guys. Robert Duarte played exceptionally well. I was very impressed with Robert's play. That team was really, I think that team wins an NCAA title like every year. Sergi was saying they were good enough to win the Croatian league. He thought they were better than potentially Jug and Mladost and like you,
or at least can like play with those guys.
Yeah, like that team was that good. That surprised me a little bit that he said that, but it's good to have a barometer, somebody who's kind of played for both. So Sergi's on his way back to Sebede. He'll play with them, and he'll be at World Championships as well. So really exciting semifinals. Those tend to be kind of the better games typically. But yeah, I mean, LA beats Nyack again and moves to the finals. Junior team beats Olympic Club and moves to the finals.
Yeah. So then we have the finals, and what the LA guys had. The big mistake that LA made in National League Championships going into the Olympic Club semifinal game, I think, was that a lot of the guys who had not been around the club for as long maybe didn't understand the history there, or the rivalry, or the level of physicality to expect from an Olympic club, a more established team that had been around for longer and has a lot of pride about their identity and wants to squash any new coming clubs that want to prove that they can play with them or are better than them, right? So definitely got outmatched in that first half, and vowed never to make that same mistake again. And so that theme was carried over into the Nyack game, which I think was done successfully. And then the junior team, I think the point then was like, hey, just because these guys are younger, don't take this for granted and approach this with the same level of intensity. Like, you won the semifinal. Don't think that was like the final, and now the final is going to be a walk. You have to bring everything that you possibly can to make sure that you finish the job. And it was an amazing first quarter from LA. The end of the first ends 6-1 in favor of LA Athletic Club. And at that point, we saw a shift in the game. And
it's just a style.
Yeah, just a style of play. The junior team, Coker has them running a very, very, very aggressive press, as they should. You're down 5 goals. Like, you got to make some plays happen, right? Understandably. And their level of physicality definitely changed. And the junior team started to chip away at LA Athletic Club. I think they're only up by 3 or four going into halftime.
Yeah.
Then it was tied after the third going into the fourth. And then junior team ends up winning, scoring 3-0 in the fourth quarter. Winning 16-13. Hats off to the junior team for their effort and their level of play, for not rolling over, not giving up. Ryder Dodd leading that team. I don't know if he had 5-6 goals.
Five goals.
And just steals, counterattacks, exclusions, drives, just one-on-one, just like banging a near side high corner on Jopyash. Like, it's hard to score on that guy. And getting 1 goal is a lot. Getting 5, obviously more. So definitely hats off to their effort, to the coaching staff. It wasn't for a lack of effort on LA's side. And there is something that I think that we want to point out about the game and about trends that we're seeing.
Yeah, not necessarily about. I mean, it's the game itself is a microcosm of a larger general impression I think people have had. And again, like, the junior team did a great job. They played to the whistle. They did everything right. I don't think Coker was thrilled with the refereeing. Coker got a red card. So it tells you kind of where he was at with it. And they worked very, very hard. They worked really well as a team. And I was really proud of them and their effort, right? That type of effort, that grit, is going to be needed on the international stage. Okay. And so that was impressive. Like, they didn't give up. They didn't back down. Heck yeah, dude. That's great mentality. I love that. Now, there seems to be this kind of like feeling. It's always, at least in the past, it's been this feeling that when you play the junior team, you're going to get hammered by the referees. We've always felt that way, Clay. Even when I was on the junior team, it's like,
And not just us, it's a stigma through all the
through all
men's
clubs.
clubs and colleges.
Yeah. Now, we went back, and thanks to 6-8, we can now go back and look at stats and data, which we haven't been able to do before. So we went back through, and when the junior team is playing against a top-tier men's team, which we will consider for today's purposes, because these are the only teams we looked at, New York Athletic Club, the Olympic Club, or LA Athletic Club. The kick-out ratio for the junior team in their favor is 2.87 to 1 across those games through National League and Senior Nationals.
Nearly 3 to 1.
Nearly 3 to 1. That's tough. Now, it's challenging because
just again to clarify, this is not some games it was more in favor of a men's team, or sometimes it was like closer like to a 1-to-1. It's actually like that's a average per every single game. It's actually almost always 3 to 1 in every single match, if not worse. And
then we looked at other games. So when New York plays LA, when New York or Olympic Club play LA and they play each other, roughly 1 to 1. It's pretty close. It's like 1.2 to 1. Somebody's always going to have something of an advantage on the kickouts, but it's never like 2 to 1.
It could be 1.5. It could be 2, but it's never 3.
Yeah, it's never 3. and it does make a big difference. If for nothing else, certain players have to sit out of the game for long stretches of time, and it changes things. So we need to get better. We need to be better than this. Now, so the solution is, because I don't believe in bringing problems, right? So we have the data that shows this. Again, this is not to take anything away from the junior team. They fought really hard. They played to the whistle.
And I don't believe that like the USA staff or coaching staff are like talking to the referees before the game and being like, hey, make sure you like don't make calls or make extra calls. And like we don't think that is happening.
That's not what we're saying.
We're saying that there might be, call it subconscious, positioning of the officials to call games a certain way.
Yeah,
that's kind of the only thing that we can think of why this is happening so consistently, not just today, but in the past.
Yeah. So it's not one, again, this is not one game. This is kind of empirical, if you will, right? Like this, there's a lot of data that we've gone through. And it's not necessarily the calls that favor the Olympic Club in the sense of like they get, or Olympic Club, that favor the junior team that they get more exclusions. Oftentimes it's
or like giving exclusions. Like they earned, those are earned calls.
Those are earned exclusions, right? Yes. Like those are, however, a lot of those are the byproduct of a missed call somewhere else.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing. It's not necessarily the 3, it's the 1. And so like, why is there such a discrepancy? Why are there so many missed calls?
If the 1 was higher,
right,
probably that 3 is going to come down a little bit.
Down quite a bit. So the solution here, I believe, is this. If the LA Athletic Club and New York Athletic Club can bring in foreign talent like João Pedro, like Denis Varga, why can we not bring in international referees? Okay, this helps in 3 ways, and there's some precedents to this. First off, if an international referee comes in and they have to do every single, we would need 2. They would have to do every single game that Team USA plays. This would help them become accustomed to more international refereeing. So what they will face at Junior Worlds, okay, what they will face at World Championships, what they'll face at World Cup or whatever, Pan Ams. In no tournament ever has a Spanish referee reffed during a Spanish game. So when Spain and Italy play each other in a tournament, anywhere in the world, be it in Spain, Italy, or a third country, the referees on that game are not from Spain and they're not from Italy. So there's precedent to this. You shouldn't be refereeing your own national team games, right? So there's that. If we were to bring in international...
They're just in like a Montenegrin league, they're not... I don't know if they're shipping in like coaches from other countries to like ref those games. Like, of course, there's opportunities to have U.S. Referees refereeing a lot of high-level games.
Correct.
I think we're talking about specifically preparation for that junior team.
Well, and if it's a national team.
A national team.
Right. A Montenegrin league is like, you got players from all over. It'd be like Nyack playing LA or Olympic Club.
Also fair.
You got players. Right. That's an opportunity for refs to have high-level games.
Yeah.
Those are very high-level games, by the way. Nyack, Olympic Club, LA, those are very high-level games. Okay? So if we were to bring in international referees to always ref Team USA, be it the junior team, senior team, whatever it is, right? There should be something of a budget for that because it'll help the players. It'll create at least the appearance of an unbiased refereeing, and it'll help other referees in our system. Okay, so they'll have the opportunity to learn. And in fact, I had a conversation with the referees this year, and they're very much in favor of this. And there are a lot of referees that I know personally, that Clay, you know personally, that would love to come over and do this. And we've even, so because, and the reason we know this is because LA Athletic Club has traveled to a number of different countries and competed. We've played in Italy, we've played in Spain, we've played in Montenegro, we've played in Czech Republic and Austria. And we have to supply our own referee who's not allowed to play, or I'm sorry, who's not allowed to ref our games. Right. So we have to bring our own referee. Now, effectively, the U.S. should have to supply referees that aren't from the U.S. Or for that matter, the club teams need to get together, bring over a referee and say, hey, they're going to be doing, these two referees are going to be doing all USA games. That would be good for everyone. Right? That would be good for everyone. There's nobody that doesn't benefit from that. The players get better refereeing, or at least an exposure to international referees, which will help them on the global stage. The referees get better because they get to see how it's done by these other referees and have conversations. That dialogue's huge. It's the same as like getting the opportunity to play with a Dennis Varga or a Filip Filipovic or João Pedro or Sergi Cabanas. Somebody coming over from abroad talking about the ways things are done differently. That's going to help our sport at a very high level. I don't know any parent or any player that says the referees are great, and they just don't. Right? It's the hardest part of our sport because it's so difficult to see everything, and there's so much going on. In my mind, maybe we need more referees, like 2 in the back court, 2 in the front court type of thing. But I won't go into that now.
It's also kind of like a really great role player on a team. Like sometimes, you'll notice standout players like a Conroll or a Ryder Dodd.
Yeah.
And other guys fly under the radar. But we know what that happens. What that means is they're not making mistakes.
Right.
And sometimes not noticing, if you don't notice the referees in a game, that's a perfect game.
Yeah. And usually that's when the exclusion ratios are pretty even.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that to me is kind of a solution we need to look at. Because with teams, this is not recreational. I know if some people think this is like, well, this is just a rec league.
If we want the sport to die, we can treat it like a
that's right.
league.
If we want that's a great point, Clayton. That's a great point.
We can let it be a rec league and just disband all of this. But
yeah, this is not a rec league. This is serious to a lot of people. I don't know how many people have put in 20, 30 hours a week into an extracurricular that they don't take seriously.
Well, that's why the drop-off of talent is so steep after college, because there are limited outlets to play seriously, and they don't want to play on masters teams full of guys that are just doing it just for the fun of it, as a beer league.
Yeah.
Like, it's only really worth it to guys, and they're willing to put in the work and the effort to play at a high level if they can play with a high team. They can play at a high level.
Right. And teams invest a lot of money in coming to these tournaments. It's not just the entry fee, which frankly, the entry fee is a very small portion of what's being spent. Okay.
And that's thousands.
That's in the thousands. Right. And it's the travel, it's the hotel, it's being away from their families and kids, and
covering gas, covering meals.
It's gas, it's airfare, it's just time.
Yeah.
This is not recreational. This is something these guys take seriously. And it needs to, in my mind, we have to just continue to build something that's more professional. And that starts with, continuing to get everybody better. The players, the coaches, the referees, we can do better in a lot of different facets. And so as we move into the summer, a lot of thoughts and planning for, the Bob Nealon Memorial Cup, which has already started, and next National League season, which has already started. I've already had 3 conversations about that this week, right? The day after senior nationals ends, I'm like, I'm already getting phone calls. What are we going to do? And I'm sitting here going, I don't know yet, but we need to be better. And we need to, in my opinion, we need to continue to push towards something of a professional league. And we're closer than we've ever
been.
Yeah. Closer than we've ever been. And so that to me is kind of where I'd like to leave this, is that we are pushing. I'm not prepared to announce anything, but we're pushing. There's a lot of conversation occurring about what could be a professional league and the structure and players who are coming out of college getting paid to play, and providing that opportunity. And let me also say this. There are a lot of players internationally who have reached out to myself and others in the community asking to play here, that want to come play here. California is a destination. The United States is a destination. I have a lot of pride in this country. We build things. We build really cool things in this country. And there are a lot of people, a lot of professional players in other countries who want to come play here. It's kind of like Jenga. We start pulling out the right blocks and the whole thing's going to just come down in Europe.
In a good way?
In a good way. It's a good Jenga. Right? Like we're trying. It's kind of I'm using a very poor analogy. Thank you for calling that out, Clay. Jenga's the wrong analogy, but we're building.
Think of the Jenga tower as like the obstacles in our way to
Correct.
having. So it's the figurative obstacles of Europeans coming to the U.S. of there being a pro league.
Yeah.
Those little logs are being taken out, and the obstacles will crumble.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of interest. There's some things we got to get right. We got to get some economics right. We got to get the structure right. We got to get the locations of teams right. We got to figure out. There's a lot as we start to pull this thread.
There's a reason it doesn't exist. It's not simple.
There is, and we know some of the reasons. But look, all it is an opportunity. It's an opportunity. The reasons and obstacles are opportunities to prove that we can be great.
Right.
And so we're going to leave you with that this season. We want to thank everybody for watching all of our episodes, however many we've done a lot of episodes. We have had an unbelievably good time doing this. The support has been tremendous. I want to thank everybody who's come up to me personally at the different events, be it National League or even NC2As or, I had somebody say something to me yesterday while I was swimming, and they recognized me, and that was very kind. And I just want to thank everybody for all the support. This has been a tremendous experience. I think it shows that, hey, we need some more of this. And we are very, very excited about what is to come this fall. And so for everybody out there, thank you. We're looking forward to all the great things to come. Have a wonderful summer. Good luck to Team USA at Junior Worlds and World Championships. I can't wait to see you. If you are in Croatia, be sure to say hi. I would love to see friendly faces in Zagreb, Croatia. So thank you, everybody, for all the support. Best of luck this summer. And we will talk to you in August. Remember, life is short.
Score goals.